Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I'm standing on a yoga mat. If you don't happen to have one, all I ask is that you not be on something too hard or too slick, so a carpeted area in your house is perfect. You could use your rug as your yoga mat. I have a folded blanket, and this is literally the throw blanket from my couch, so you could do the same. A folded beach towel is a great alternative. And then if you have yoga blocks, fantastic. If you don't, 2 thick books are a really great substitute. We'll start standing in our mountain pose. So feet hip distance and parallel, a soft bend in your knees. Turn your palms out. Let that happen from your shoulder joint. Let your chin stay parallel to the ground. And it's here that we turn the arrows of attention inward versus distractedly outward. So let's take a moment to land. A key tool to that is our breath. So I'd like you to fully experience your inhale and fully experience your exhale. Our breath goes 2 different directions, whereas our attention can go a million different directions if we let it. So let's let our breath inform our presence of mind. Bring your hands onto your hips. You may want to step next to your couch to use the arm of your couch or a wall with your left hand. So you'll let your left side be next to whatever you might be using to help with some balance here. And then stand on your left leg with your hands on your hip or your right hand on your hip. And then extend your right leg out in front of you. And from your hip joint, and we can nerd out on this and feel it, turn your right leg out. Now my toes turn, but it's happening at my hip joint. We'll do that 2 more times. So toes to the sky, right hip turns out, left hip is hugging in and not slopping out. 1 more time, toes to the sky. Turn your right leg out. It's like we're dancing a jig, isn't it? Make sure we're standing tall. Keep this action in your right hip and put a little kickstand down inside of your left foot. As you do that, tend to keeping a very solid hugging in of this left hip. Now this might be perfect. You could put your right foot in your left shin. You might put your right foot into the inseam of your left leg. This is where it starts getting a little wobbly. That's okay. We've got our chair or our wall, and then here, whoops, I could probably use that. Here in our tree, let's grow our right arm out to the side, thumb to the sky, and possibly left arm out to the side, thumb to the sky. The wobble is the win, so be willing to give it a try. If you fall down, you just get back up. 3 moments here. Now maybe left hand comes to your chair, right hand on your hip. Turn your right knee forward and step down into your mountain, feet hip distance and parallel. From our mountain, let's grow our tree on our second side. So you might stand with your right hand on something, a wall, an arm of your sofa. Left hand on our hip, right hip is hugging underneath us so it doesn't collapse out to the side. That's an important part of this posture. Stand on your right leg and take your left leg out in front of you. From your left hip, rotate that leg out to the side. And then toes face up towards the sky again. So there's evidence in our foot, but it's happening in our hip. Rotate your left leg out, dance your jig, and turn those toes to the sky. We'll do it 1 more time. Left leg turns out. It becomes a kickstand right inside of our right foot, and we hug our right hip into the midline. Stay with this if it's working. Maybe left foot onto your shin. Possibly left foot into the inseam of your right leg. I wouldn't be too attached to that. It's this dancing of a jig that's important. Hug your right hip in, grow your left branches out to the side, thumb to the sky. Decide if you want to grow your right branches out to the side, thumb to the sky. And then we just Wobble away and breathe. 3 meditative moments together here. Right hand might go to some support, left hand on your hip, turn your left knee forward and step down, feet hip distance, and into our mountain pose. Face the short edge of your mat. If you don't have a mat, just kind of imagine that's where you're situated. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Just float your arms along your side and think breath guiding the movement. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands onto your thighs for this first one. Traction your hands on your thighs as you inhale and lift your heart. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, but keep the length in your spine. And then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. Pause, palms face out, and our heart lifts. Adding on, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands onto your thighs, or maybe they slide down to your shins or ankles, but you're hinging at your hip and keeping the length through your spine. Inhale, I slide my hands up as I uplift my heart. Then I exhale, slide them down as I fold back in. And inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. We'll stand in our mountain palms, facing out. Inhale, we add on. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs or shins or ankles. There's length to our spine. Inhale, uplift your heart. This time, as you fold back in, bend your knees deeply enough that your hands go flat on the ground and we step to our first down dog. I like my feet as wide as my mat for this first one. Then we're not crumbled into our shoulders with our elbows out. You want to push the ground away, feel a hook in your tailbone that lifts your hips as far away from your head as you can. I'm high on my toes with a bend in my knees. That's probably how I'll stay. You might do the same. Walk as you exhale, feet all the way to your hands. Let them be hip distance, and then hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we inhale, uplift our heart. And exhale, slide our hands to fold with a long spine. Then inhale, rise and reach, arms to the sky, a V, and we stand in our mountain as we collect some sun salutation friends along the way. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up as you uplift your heart, and then bend your knees and put your palms flat on the ground. Step back into down dog. Feel free to have that wide stance or maybe closer to hip distance. Push the ground away and feel your hips move so far from your head, lengthening through your spine. Take this length with us as we shift towards plank, shoulders over wrists, and our belly is firm and lifted towards our spine. Our hook in our tailbone takes us back to down dog. We push the ground away and get long in our spine, and then we walk forward, feet hip distance at the front edge of our mat. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs. Exhale, fold in. And then inhale, rise and reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. We'll stand in our mountain with our palms facing out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. As you exhale, bend your knees and place your hands flat for down dog. From down dog, shift towards a plank, and this time in our plank, as we push the ground away and don't sag into our shoulders, bring your knees down right underneath where they were in space. Check to make sure you've not done that sag into your shoulders, so keep pushing the ground away. Shift a little bit forward, and you'll push the ground away with your belly firm as we lower all the way down onto our belly. And once you're there, uncurl your toes, bring your forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat for Sphinx pose. Traction your elbows towards you and press into the tops of your feet until your kneecaps lift. I want you to think strong, long, supported back bend here. Lower down, curl your toes under and place your hands next to your ribs. We come through all fours, so belly firm. And then the hook in our tailbone takes us to down dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands and land hip distance, hands on ankles, shins or thighs as we uplift our heart. Exhale, fold yourself back in. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. We'll stand in our mountain, palms face out. Let's flow that together one time. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up and uplift your heart. And then exhale, bend your knees, palms flat, step to down dog. Think hips far away from your head, hook in your tailbone. Inhale, take that space with you, push the ground away in your plank, bring your knees to your mat, lift your belly, push the ground away even as you lower all the way down. And this time either Sphinx or keep your hands where they are for Cobra. All of us pressing into the tops of our feet, not throwing our chin forward, drawing our heart forward. Lower your chest, curl your toes under, firm your belly through all fours. And then the hook in our tailbone brings us into downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward all the way to your hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we inhale and lift, and then exhale, fold back in. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V, and then we'll stand in our mountain, palms facing out. Let's adjust our props. Our 2 blocks will go off the long edge of our mat, so not underfoot. I'm letting them be tall and within reach, so on each long edge that will then be the back edge as we face the opposite long edge. Step wide, take your arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, ankles under wrists is our first attempt at an alignment. And we will turn like dancing our jig, our right leg out to face the short edge of our mat. So same action that we felt at the very beginning of our practice. Now slide your left heel back at a 45-degree angle. This is where we measure a bit. Bend your right knee. My knee is forward of my ankle, so I need a little bit more forward and back space. Maybe you do too. We'll straighten our front leg and lower our arms for a moment just to get prepped now that we have our stance. Bend your right knee, warrior 2, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. We're not letting our right knee fall in because we're dancing a jig in that right hip. And then we feel our left thigh bone press into our hamstring and the outer edge of that back foot solid. Let's allow ourselves a moment of meditation here as a warrior. 5 moments. If you need to lower your arms or straighten your front leg, feel free to do just that. Straighten your front leg and lower your arms. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Dance your jig with your left hip as your left foot turns to face the short edge of your mat. Drag your right heel back at a 45-degree angle. Our spacing should be fine from our first side, so thumbs to the sky, arms out to the side. Bend your left knee, and as you do, just think dancing a jig, so we're not letting that left knee fall in. We are, from our hip joint, feeling the jig, take that thigh bone towards the left, and then we secure the outer edge of our right foot, our back foot, and feel a buoyant back arch. And then we take 5 moments of meditation in our warrior shape. Now slowly lower your arms and straighten your front leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Dance your jig with your right leg turning out. Cheat your left heel at 45 degrees and bend your front leg. 2 options here. One is right forearm across your thigh, left thumb to the sky. Remember our jig, so we're not letting it become a crumbling forward fold. You might opt to take your right hand on a tall block on the outside of your right heel. And if this top arm gets tired up here, you can turn your left thumb down and bring that either back of your left hand to the small of your back or just weave it behind your back. Now we have an arm here to help out with our dancing of a jig. So feel your right hip dance a jig and your right thigh bone press against your arm or be encouraged by your forearm. 3 silent meditative moments in this shape together. And then free your left arm up to the sky if you did the weaving behind your back. Look down and firm your belly, move your prop off to the side and come to warrior two. Then straighten your front leg and turn all of your toes to face that long edge of your mat. Our left leg dances a jig. We turn so that our left toes are facing the short edge of our mat. Then we drag our right heel back at 45 degrees and bend our front knee and keep dancing our jig. Then left forearm across our thigh, right thumb to the sky. You can always take back of the hand to the small of your back, and maybe you are someone who likes that tall block on the outside of your left foot instead. We're not letting that left hip swing out to the left. We're dancing our jig and hugging it underneath, and we can feel our left thigh bone move to the left, whether that's under our forearm or actually pressing against our left arm. 5 silent moments of meditation in this shape together as we rotate our chest to the sky. Now take a look down at your left leg and free your right arm up to the sky if you did the weaving. From your belly, move your block and come through a warrior two. Then straighten your front leg and turn all your toes to face the long edge of your mat. One more wide-legged pose, dancing our jig. Turn your right leg out. Cheat your left heel back. This time we are operating with a straight front leg, but not a locked out leg. So press your right big toe mound into the ground so you feel that your muscles turn on there. And then not side bending, but hinging at your right hip so you lift that left hip up, reach way out with your right hand, and find your block on the outside of your right foot. You could use your right hand on your thigh, but I want you to be very careful that you're not pushing it into hyperextension. So it's fine if you want to try to use your thigh if you don't have the prop. The props are really helpful for all of us. You have the option to turn your left thumb down and bring the back of your hand to the small of your back if that works better for you. Let's take a moment or two and feel our jig and feel our breath. Five moments in our triangle pose. Option to stay in triangle pose a little bit longer, or take your left hand onto your hip. Imagine that you're going to fly your triangle on one leg. So we have to keep our jig dancing as an anchor. Look down and bend your right knee. Move your block a foot out in front of your right pinky toe. You could do this with a bent right leg and carefully place your right hand on your thigh. That's pretty tricky balance, but you could. Hug that right hip underneath you because we're dancing our jig. Maybe take your left arm up to the sky. Float your triangle on just your right leg. 3 moments together here. Put a nice deep bend in your right knee and keep hugging your jig into your right hip. Left hand on your hip, step back into triangle, so move your block with you to the pose that we were in previously. Then bend your front knee and firm your belly. Move your block off to the side, come through your warrior two, and then all the way upright. All toes face the long edge of your mat. Dance your jig with your left leg. Left foot is facing the short edge of our mat, and we cheat our right heel back at a 45-degree angle. We're not side bending, we're hinging at our left hip and reaching long out with our left hand. We've got that left big toe mound pressing, so we're not in hyperextension, especially if you are using your thigh as your prop. Left hand on your block on the outside of your left thigh. Right thumb to the sky, unless you prefer back of your right hand to the small of your back. We have 5 meditative moments together in this shape. Now do remember that you have the option to stay in triangle or take your right hand on your hip, bend your left knee and move your block a foot out in front of your left pinky toe and float your triangle on one leg, but keep the dancing of a jig, turning your body towards the right. You could take your right thumb to the sky, arm to the sky, or not. 3 balancing moments here. Bend your left knee and firm through your belly. Keep your jig happening and step back to your triangle, so move your block with you. From your triangle, bend your left knee and move your block off to the side. A brief warrior 2, and then we straighten our front leg and turn all of our toes to face the long edge of our mat. Heel toe, till you're hip distance apart, and we'll once again move our props, and once again move to face the short edge of our mat. So take your 2 blocks, let them be tall, and move them just off the front edge of your mat. Now, for some of us, the better move is going to be to go to our couch and use the arm of our couch or even the back of a chair. Now, find first hip distance and parallel with our feet. I'm standing about a foot out in front of my blocks, and you could situate yourself that same spacing at the arm of your couch. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Stand on your left leg. Think dancing a jig as you take your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and we curl those toes back. It could even stay here, or you'll bend your left knee enough that your hands can go to the arm of your sofa, or even reach towards your 2 blocks, which is a pretty major stretch. Find your sweet spot. Allow this to be probably the most intense of our tree pose feeling or jig dancing stretches. 3 silent moments together here. Firm through your belly. Step your right foot hip distance from your left. I like to take my hands to my thighs and inhale, uplift my heart. Just feels good to get into the hip crease after all of that stuff that we've done. And then hinge and fold a little bit. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky. Stand in your mountain. Let that digest a second. We set it up with the chair pose, thumbs to the sky. We'll stand now on our right leg. Think dancing a jig in your left leg. Left ankle on top of right thigh. It could be that you just stay upright. That's plenty. Hands maybe on something higher, like your couch, or you take your hands onto your blocks. And we let this have its moment or moments. Probably your deepest stretch thus far. Let's take 5 moments. Now, step it down, left foot hip distance from right. Scoot your blocks off to the side. Take your hands to your ankles, shins, or thighs, and inhale, uplift your heart. Exhale, fold back in. Let's just rise and reach. Inhale, arms to the sky, and we'll stand one last time in our mountain as we make our way onto the floor. Inhale, arms V-shape overhead. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles, and then slide your hands up as you inhale and lift your heart. Bend your knees deeply, enough that your hands go flat, and we step into our downward facing dog. You've got a hook in your tailbone that is lifting your tailbone high, and then bring your knees to your mat onto all fours and swing your legs around. You might take a hold of your blanket on your way to sit onto your blanket so that our spine feels long and your legs are now out in front of you. So I realize I gave you a bunch of different instructions at the same time. We meet here seated with our legs out in front of us. Could be handy to have a block or 2 within reach. Think tree pose and dancing our jig as you create an external rotation here at your right hip is what that's called, and then you place your right foot into either the shin or the thigh. Let's go arms out to the side and get tall. twist your right ribs towards that left straight leg and walk yourself out a little bit. But I didn't say round yourself. I said walk yourself out. So hinge at your hip and feel length through your spine. Let's take 3 silent moments together here. Now come upright, help it along, right thigh, right knee faces the sky. Now step your right foot over your left, arms out to the side. Hug with your left elbow your right thigh and knee, and take your right hand back behind you. Just a quick little twist here. Inhale, grow tall, and exhale, little loving nudge into our twist. We'll unravel and take our right leg out in front. Create now the jig in your left hip. Put your left foot into your inner thigh or shin. Inhale, arms out to the side. And now left ribs rotate and frame our right leg. We walk it out a little, but we're not rounding. We curl our right toes back, and we take a few moments of silence here. Then bring yourself upright and help it along with your left hand on your left thigh. Point that left knee to the sky. Step your left foot over your right leg. Maybe left hand comes to a block, right arm up, and we give a hug to our left thigh, left knee, and twist to our left. It's a brief moment, but a nice one. And then we unwind, and option to sit in a cross-legged meditation to end our practice today. If you prefer lying down on your back in Shavasana, final meditation, fantastic. Enjoy taking agency in your practice. And then palms up or down if you're meditating. Close your eyes, cover your eyes, either in your seated meditation or in your Shavasana. And we'll get silent and let this be our moment of rest and digest. You're welcome to stay in your Shavasana final meditation or seated meditation for as long as you'd like. If you're lying down and you're ready to come up, collect your knees into your chest and roll to either side, and then come up and join us in our seated meditation position. And if you're seated cross-legged, it's as if you're dancing a jig in both hips. And you might take that and dance that jig off your mat and into your life. Remember that we want to have the ability to move in our hips and not feel so tight that it constricts our movement in our lives. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again.